Hey guys, welcome back to another day. If you're new to me, I'm Lisa, a fat foodie on a wellness adventure to lose 150 pounds and get fit enough to travel back to New Zealand for 6 months come 2024. I want to see and do all the things, so I'm dedicated to making that happen. Shall we get started? Good morning. Welcome back. So today I am going to go to Kroger to pick up a few things for some recipe meal planning that I've made for the next 10 days. And I'm just missing a few little bits and pieces. I'm missing some spices. I need a couple of little veggies. And Kroger has some things on sale this week that I want to get to. Now, I was going to go now, but it is like pea soup fog out there. And that's not generally a problem, except that people don't drive the best here. And I worry when visibility is reduced and they're still doing... Anyway, I'm a worrywart, so I'm going to wait for the fog to lift a little bit. And I decided to go ahead and eat before I go. So, for brunch, I guess, I'm going to do a chicken crust barbecue Hawaiian pizza. Now, if you aren't familiar with chicken crusts, they became really popular with keto. I'm not doing it because of that, but I like it. It works well. And basically what you do with that is you take either rotisserie cooked chicken breast, or you can use the canned chicken breast. This particular one is Member's Mark, and I will weigh it out, but basically it is 90 calories for 3 ounces. This particular one is just chicken breast meat, water, and salt. No preservatives in there, which is great. And that serving, the 3-ounce serving, is 19 grams of protein. And so what you do is you basically take the chicken breast, an egg, and a lot of times they will mix in some Parmesan or mozzarella cheese, something like that. You can flavor it as well if you want to put garlic powder or Italian seasoning in there. Because I'm going to do the blackstrap molasses barbecue sauce, I decided I'm not going to season the chicken. But you mix that together and you flatten it out like a flatbread or like you would a dough onto a sheet. You cook it partially, turn it over, add your toppings, and then cook it some more. And I'll link to a full recipe in the description box. The ingredients won't be the same, but how you do it is the same. And then I decided to do this because I had a little bit of pineapple left. I have a little bit of mushroom left from last night. And I'm going to use some red onion. And then just some of Kroger's blackstrap molasses barbecue sauce. So it's going to come together pretty quickly. The only thing I need to do is cut up the red onion. I want to get the crust cooking. I'm going to do that in the air fryer, and I will put time and temperature in the next little bit, and the weight of what I got out of one of these cans. This is quite a large can, so let's see what we get. Okay, all right. So this can in total contents is 354 grams, and this is the yield after draining the can, and that is 211 grams. So I'll track that, and then I actually keep the broth from these. It's quite a tasty little broth, and I have several dishes coming up during the week that require some chicken broth, so I'm just going to use that as part of it. The only other thing I need to do, I'm just going to take my egg, put that in there, and then we'll spread that out on a pan and get it in the air fryer. Okay, so this is my canned chicken breast and the egg, and I just have a silicone mat on top of a rack that fits in my air fryer oven. If you have an air fryer, like a potbelly one, you might have to do this a little bit differently. I've seen a lot of people recommend using parchment paper, so you could do that. You could fit parchment paper in the bottom. In terms of your chicken, this is obviously already cooked. If you're using rotisserie chicken, that's already cooked. I know there are people who do this with ground chicken as well, and a lot of times that's fine also. So I didn't smash it up. I broke up the big pieces, but I didn't. I've seen some people say put it through the food processor and you know, get it really, really fine, almost like a paste. I don't need it to do that. So I have just smashed that up with a fork, mixed in the egg, spread that out onto the silicone baking sheet. So this is going to go just as it is in the air fryer on 400 for 15 minutes. A lot of recipes I've seen, they vary. You can do it in your oven as well. They also talk about anywhere from 400 to 425, 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to try 400 for 15 minutes. And basically you just want to get all the chicken crust to stick together. Then they tell you to let that rest for about 10 minutes or so, and then you can put your toppings on. So that's what I'm going to try. 400 degrees, 15 minutes, and then let it rest for 10. Okay, so here's what we have. Now, I did check it. I had done 400 at 15 minutes, and I did check it, and I thought I needed to turn it up and add a few minutes. So I put it on to 425 and cooked that for another 5 minutes, and then this is rested for 10 minutes. So that's where we're at now. I'm going to put the toppings on there, and then we'll put it back in here for another 10 minutes. All right, here we go. All done. So this ended up being about 475 calories with 51 grams of protein, which is great. So I'm going to have this for lunch and then double check my Kroger list and go shopping. All right, I am home. I didn't film in Kroger. They were very busy and people were very grumpy. It was like, I don't know, it was like a whatever day of the week is normally grumpy, busy people day. If I had gone first thing this morning, it probably would have been fine, but I got what I needed. So, all right. So this I had bought previously in frozen. This is 2 pieces of chuck roast. I'm going to use 1/2 of this tonight for pot roast, and the other piece is going to be for my first time experiment in making beef birria. And I hope that it is as good as I think it's going to be. So, but tonight is pot roast. So I have this in total is about 3 pounds. So this is about 1.5 pounds. I'll weigh it out individually, but that's what I've got there. And then I have these are just yellow rainbow carrots. This is 8 ounces here. And then I picked up some little fingerling potatoes, and I'm going to use 12 ounces of potatoes. The seasoning is, now the recipe that I'm pretty much basing this off of with a few minor changes is in the description box as always. But I've got onion powder, garlic powder, and dried parsley, as well as the Kinder's salt, pepper, and garlic blend. Then for making the sauce, you need some tomato paste, some beef broth or beef stock, balsamic vinegar, some Worcestershire sauce, and at the end, I think, she puts in some ketchup and does a little cornstarch slurry. So the only couple of things that I'm going to do a little bit different, I'm not putting onion in here. And because the Kinder's has garlic in it, I'm not going to actually do, and I'm putting garlic powder, I'm not actually going to put minced garlic in there as well. And I feel like they're, oh, so she basically cooked the onion in like on sear mode, because this is going to be done in the Instant Pot. And so she did it, cooked off the garlic and onion, which I don't have, so I'm not going to do. And then she recommends that you sear this. And the more that I think about it, I don't know that searing it when you're going to turn it into a pot roast is going to make any difference at all. So if you are team sear and you think there's a reason that I should be doing that, please let me know, because I generally don't. If it's going to have a soft texture at the end, I skip that step. Now, if I was going to do something where I was then maybe going to crisp it, possibly, but as a pot roast, I don't see the benefit of searing it first. Educate me, please, if there is an actual real reason for doing that. But basically, you're going to season the meat and get a good portion of the ingredients in the pot. Now, she is one of the few that recommends leaving the carrots and potatoes out. This is going to cook for 65 minutes under pressure. If you cook potatoes and carrots under pressure for that long, it is going to turn into slush. Oh, actually, I'm going to add some English peas to this. I have some in the freezer, so I don't have them out here, but I'm going to add a bag of English peas, and they're green peas, but they're firmer, harder, and they tend to stay that way. So they stay more firm. I don't really know how else to explain the difference, but I'm going to add those. And yes, so you're basically going to cook the meat in part of the seasonings and the stock and everything, and then afterwards you're going to pull the meat out to let it rest. And while that's resting, I'm going to cook the carrots and potatoes. And then when that is done, we're going to thicken up the sauce that is left with the cornstarch and the ketchup. But I think I'll just sort of show you each step as we go, how I'm going to do it, because it is slightly different to how the recipe was written. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is season the beef and get that on. So let me get that part started. So first, it's the dry seasoning on the meat. So the half of that I weighed out, this is 1.6 pounds. And the other piece will be about the same because it's just about a 3-pound pack. So, and I'm going to do this, I think. I've calculated it as 3 servings. So I cut that piece into 3 basic chunks, and I'm going to have 1 for dinner tonight. I'm going to have 1 to keep, and then I'm going to take 1 to Sandy. So to that, I have added, and this is just what I have put in for this amount of meat. You can completely go by the recipe, or you can add more or less or different, whatever you want to do. All right, so the dry part. This is half a teaspoon onion powder, 1 teaspoon garlic powder, 2 teaspoons parsley flakes, and 2 teaspoons of the salt, pepper, garlic blend. So basically it says to put all of your dry ingredients in a bowl, combine and coat your meat, and then I'm going to get the liquid part ready to go in the Instant Pot. All right, so we're going to do the liquid part. And this part is just going to go in the inner liner. Now, I have the model, so I say Instant Pot because it's what you guys are going to most easily recognize. I actually have a product called Chef IQ, which is the same thing. It's still a smart pressure cooker kind of thing. But that's why the pot, somebody said, why is my pot black and non-stick when I talk about Instant Pot, which has the silver inner? And you can actually buy non-stick liners for the Instant Pot, but that's why, because I have a Chef IQ, and I just say Instant Pot because a lot of times it's easier for people to get what I'm talking about. Okay. any way. I like more gravy with a lot of my things. And so I am keeping her recommendations for amounts for the liquids, even though I have less meat. So again, if you were properly dividing this recipe in half because of the beef is less, she uses a 3-pound as an example. Like that's what her recipe is based on. Up to you. Okay, so this is completely just me keeping parts of it, reducing parts of it, taking steps out. This is me making changes, but that's why we give you the original recipe. One of the things that I did see in the comments is some people said that 3 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar was too much. If you've been with me a while, you know that I have some pretty dead taste buds from long haul COVID, and I like my stuff to be stronger, so I am going to keep the 3 tablespoons, but it is something to be aware of that if you are sensitive to, or you're not such a big fan of like strong vinegar, then some people in the comments said that they reduced the vinegar to 2 tablespoons instead of 3. Okay. And then I think the only other thing I was going to show you was if you're like me and you open a can of paste and then, you know, you have half of it left and you don't know what to do with it. Somebody had said to put it in little ice cubes, and Kroger had these on clearance. And so I bought one of those and I thought that would work well. Let me see if I can. Yeah. So I think that these are going to hold about, I don't know, maybe 2 tablespoons each. I will measure out what I'm putting in here, but I'm going to put what is left of that in part of this and then put that in the freezer. So, all right. So here is the plan. I have 2 cups of beef broth. I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of tomato paste, 2 tablespoons of the Worcestershire, and 3 tablespoons of the balsamic vinegar. That is going to go in the pot liner with the meat, and then that is going to go under pressure for 65 minutes. Now, the peas, which I got out, the carrots, the potatoes are going to go in after, and then we're going to thicken up the gravy at the very end with the ketchup and cornstarch. All right, so I'm going to get this sorted and get this turned on, and I'll see you again when it's time to do the veggies. Okay, so the meat is ready, and it says to take that out and let that rest. And then I have cut up the carrots and the potatoes, and then I have the bag of the little English peas that I got out of the freezer. So now we're going to put the potatoes and the carrots, and in this case the peas, into the broth soupy mix that's in the pot, which smells really good, by the way. I'm not going to taste it because it would just burn my tongue off. But she says 3 minutes under pressure. So I'm going to put these in there, and then I'm adding the peas, and 3 minutes. Okay, so I've taken out the potatoes, carrots, and most of the peas. And then you need to do a cornstarch slurry, which this is just 2 tablespoons of cornstarch and some hot water. And then there's a tablespoon of ketchup. And I actually just went ahead and put it in the slurry. So now, last step, to thicken up the sauce that's in there, make it into more of a gravy, you turn the pot on to sear or saute. I'm going to add this slurry, and we're going to let that come to a little bit of a boil. That's how cornstarch thickens. And then we'll put everything back in, and it'll be ready to go. All right, it is all done, and I've taken Sandy out her portion, so I've basically given her a third of that, and then I'm gonna have half of what's left. Maybe it might have made more than I thought, but I'm gonna have that for dinner. And because it's going to be so rich, while I was at Kroger, I wanted to pick up a little salad kit. They had their raspberry crisp salad kit on special, and it's just spring mix, croutons, sunflower seeds, and a raspberry vinaigrette, which is not really anything. But I happen to have some fresh raspberries, and I've got some blueberries, and a little English cucumber. I'm just going to do a quick side salad to go with that, and that will be dinner.